Right, let's make a book. Hello, I'm William Gallagher and this is 58 Keys, which as ever, as always, is for writers like you and me who usually write on, well, on Macs and on iPhones and on iPads, sometimes all of them. Do please like, subscribe or patronise me, and in particular this time, because there's more to this. There's more, of course there is. There's more to making books than I'm going to show you now. I have to make one quickly, so here is one single route through doing that. No consideration of better alternatives, no deliberation, no shopping around, no time for anything, not even really a lot of design. So if you know better than me, then obviously just ignore everything I say. Of course you must. And if you don't happen to know this stuff already, but it would be useful, I have also put links to previous 58 Keys episodes that go through parts of this in much more detail in a much more considered way. But here's the job I've got. I lead one of 20 or so young writers groups that are run by Writing West Midlands in the UK, another link below. And I get 10 sessions with them, 2 hours per month on a Saturday, hopefully building up to some kind of big finish. This time I decided the big finish, just based on their writing, it really should be a book. Well, so there's a tip for you right away. The first thing to do when making a book quickly is get other people to write it for you. Lots of other people all together. The slow part is then getting all of that together. And even though I do want to race through this way of producing the book, well, frankly, because I had to. This is real. I had to get together all of their writing and produce the book, and then get enough copies printed to take to our final session. The truth is that the fastest thing you can do is to take it really slowly with the manuscript. Get the word processor document right, and everything else is easy afterwards. You see the hesitation there. It's at least easier. Okay, which means with the manuscript, obvious stuff like have the same font and size throughout. I know you will if you're writing, but remember I had to put together 10, 12 pieces from different writers, all different, and use styles, even if you don't already. Select each chapter heading and say it's a heading. It's like, sounded like I was going to say it aloud. I mean, whatever your word processor of choice is, there will be a section or a menu or a button or something where you can mark this selected text as being a heading. Do that. Then copy edit really carefully. It turns out, especially if you're working with new writers who haven't been published before, there are going to be fundamentals that they don't know that perhaps you do, or probably you do. Ellipses. How do ellipses work? ... space. They may also have no reason to know yet how terrible Microsoft Word is. In several pieces, for example, I'd see dialogue where the last word was followed by an opening quote mark. Now, it was because the writer then didn't know to put a space after the quote mark, but it's also because Word is stupid. So clever, Word, putting in the right 66 and 99 quote marks, or 6 and 9. Except when it just doesn't, so, you know. Also, you try searching and replacing on a quote mark in Word. Because it's a smart one, it's sometimes impossible to search and replace, or at least without changing every quote mark, start or back. It's just, yeah. I actually took the chapters that had this problem, I took them into ChatGPT of all things and asked it to fix that particular problem, to see whether it would. Now, I am impressed that it did it. I am annoyed that it did various other things that I didn't ask for and for some reason wanted to tell me how brilliant I am. What is it with AI? But I am adamant that I could not then risk just copying the text back into the book. So instead, widescreen I've got behind me, I had the original on one side of the screen, the newly processed one on the other, and I went through line by line. Okay. One thing, just saying that line by line reminds me, it's another thing about AI. Most of the writers in the group I lead are teenagers, but a couple are a little bit younger, and some of them hand wrote parts of their work. And what I did was I photographed their pages in the session, and I sat down right here, ready to type it all up. But then, I don't even know what made me think this, but made me suspect that this could be possible, but I tried using AI to read those handwritten photographs, and it did. Not completely, not entirely accurately, but instead of having to type up 10 12, 15, some number of pages of handwriting. I just had to go through correcting the odd word. But now, as it happens, I did all of this in Pages, Apple's word processor, because I like it. And then next thing I did was add the front matter, the title page, and so on. If you're doing the same, export it now to Microsoft Word. I dislike Word. It's possible you picked up on that subtle criticism. Some you may have seen through the... Yeah. I also don't relish paying an annual subscription to Microsoft for it. I mean, I think it just encourages them. But you can go online to word.cloud.microsoft and use a full version of Word for free there. I truly don't recommend it for actually writing, but for the next steps we need to do, it's great that it's there and that it is free. Use Word in any way you like to make a contents page, a table of contents, a TOC. Click where in the book you want that to go, and then under the references section in that ribbon, click or tap Insert Table of Contents. Anything that you have marked as a heading becomes a line in the table of contents. Now save the document or export it if you're using the online version of Word, and now it's time to produce the goods. This is Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing Service, KDP, which is at kdp.amazon.com, and it is .com. It doesn't matter where in the world you are. I'm in the UK, so you think it might be .co.uk, but it isn't. It's always via the US.com site. Register, sign in, all that stuff. Then choose Create New Title or Series, then Paperback. You first get this long form that you've got to schlep through, deciding on things like the title, the description, and so on. Maybe this is just me. I think the description's going to take you the longest. Oh, except no, there's then categories that the book fits into. That might take a while. Shortest way to do that, I think, is to find an existing book on Amazon that resembles yours, and then see what categories they use. Why not? Or actually, even shorter, figure out I'm the only person who's buying this book. I've got to buy a dozen or so to give to the writers. So the categories help people find things. I know where it is, so I could put in anything in there. And well, and change categories later if it turns out people do need help to find it. Yeah. When you go through all this anyway, right, you're now on to the next of three sections, and this is kind of the key one, I think. Paperback content, and it starts with ISBN. Two choices. You have to have an ISBN, an International Standard Book Number, but you can either buy one for yourself, or you can let Amazon just do it for you for free. Strictly speaking, if you let Amazon do it for free, then Amazon officially becomes the publisher. And in this case, I actually didn't care. In other cases, I would buy an ISBN. Right now, I looked a minute ago before we started talking, a single ISBN costs £93 in the UK, or you can buy 10 for £174, making that $17.40 each. In the US, it's $125 for one, $295 I think for 10. Links to buying ISBNs in the UK or the US in the description below. Next in this form, the size of the book, the type of paper you want. You can see all the options there, up to you. I just went for the plainest, black and white interior on white paper, and I spent ages measuring existing books before deciding on 8 inches by 5. Bleed and glossy or matte to do with the cover. I ignored bleed because, as it says there, it isn't an option when you're uploading your book from a Word file or word processor file, as I knew I would be doing. And glossy for the cover because, well, I don't know, why not? Next, upload the manuscript. Oh, that's done. And now there's the cover to deal with. With KDP, the cover is a separate document, a separate file, and it must be a PDF. It must be one single PDF with the front, the back, and the spine all together in one. And the spine's the thing. How to know how wide that spine is. I should say it might be easier to use the option there of the Amazon cover creator, but only if you want, your book cover to look like everyone else's. I don't know. I don't know if it's actually really easier because I'll never look. Whereas I did study the cover calculator and spent a lot of time going over this, because this is how you figure out the width of the spine, and that is vital for the cover. You got to get the widths for the whole thing, haven't you? The spine, the front and the back. And for that, you need the size of the book, so that 5x8 that I chose. And you need the page count of the book at that size. I suggest the quickest way to do this is actually to skip a little bit further down to where there's a launch preview. This will show you your book on screen formatted as it will be printed at that size. So the right size, the font you chose and the manuscript, all of that. This previewer, it does do a huge amount, and it is very good at spotting sometimes endless problems, to which the solution always seems to be to go back to the manuscript and fiddle there. But it will also, just one thing to do is right at the bottom there, it will show you the page count. And for now, well, that's all I want. While you're here, you should check through the pages just to see if they look right. And you should go back to the manuscript, if preview reports problems, and it regularly does. But for what we're doing now, come out of this and come out without clicking that approve button because you're not there yet, and go back to this cover creator. Enter all of these details, including the page count, and Amazon creates a cover template for you. Download that. Open it up in an image editor. I'm using Pixelmator Pro, and fill it in. In my case, the group I run meets at the gorgeous Wolverhampton Art Gallery in the Midlands, and I said to them that the stories should be set there or around there, roughly. So after a session, I took photos of the outside of the gallery, and now I just dragged on one I liked to make the front cover. I'm not going to go through each step of this part of the design because every image editor will be different, and you get the idea anyway. You put on an image, you add text to the front cover, you position it all where you like on the front. The back cover is a thing. This needs a description, and you might as well use the one you wrote earlier in the process, mightn't you? And when it is printed, Amazon will add a barcode to it. So do not put anything over where Amazon's template says the barcode is going to go. Otherwise, it's all up to you what you put and where you put it on the back cover. And then there's that spine. You've got the width right. Okay. Actually, because it's you. The entire reason I have a story in this book as well is because we needed to get over a certain word count in order for this to be long enough, wide enough to have a spine rather than being a pamphlet. It's good to be needed, isn't it? Anyway, that, just so you know, that count is something like 10,000 words, but it depends on your font size and two things. But yeah. Regardless of the size, the spine is always going to be an issue. You've got the right width on it, but it's still an issue. Keep it plain and simple because printing through Amazon is not consistent. You can find that some copies have the cover just slightly out, and it's usually not a problem, but it is a problem if it means you have a fancy spine that's now hanging over the front cover or the back cover. Export your finished cover as a PDF and then go back to KDP and upload it. And now you need to really seriously launch the preview. Mark that you haven't used AI. You haven't, have you? And then launch the preview and study that preview to be sure everything is right. This is your chance to make sure it's right. When you are certain that it is, now click that approve button. And then at the bottom of the page, save and continue. Last of the three sections in KDP, prices and rights and territories. Remember, I'm buying these books for my writers, so I chose the lowest price Amazon would allow for, printing costs and things. And all right, actually, I can see, these young writers, their families and friends, they might well want extra copies. I don't know, but in case they do, I'm leaving the book up, but I'm not trying to make any cash out of them, so I'm keeping it at the lowest price available. This does now all look a long list to go through to do with multiple currencies. But you choose your primary market at the top. I'm in the UK, my writers are in the UK, so I chose the UK. Not a lot of thought went into that one. And then you set the price for there, and the rest are all calculated for you. And now, click Publish Your Paperback Book, and go get some tea. Watch your film. Get it all out of your head for up to 72 hours. It was much faster for me this time, but Amazon says up to 72 hours. What happens then is you get an email saying yes or no. Yes means it's published, you're done, it's on Amazon, although note it can still take a couple of days to appear. A no means that an actual human reviewer has spotted something wrong, and they do. That's why they're there. And they'll tell you what it is. They will actually, I think they'll be very clear, and you might mutter a few rude things. You've got to go back through this stuff, but you'll go back and you will fix them. If I ever get you 10, it'll be something in the manuscript. Like I said, if you get the manuscript exactly right, the rest follows. It's just, how would you necessarily know how to get it right? You might not know what will affect what. So you do typically have to go through the process multiple times. You try to do it on the previewer, the on-screen launch previewer, because then you can see it without the printing. But you go through it, you address the problems it tells you about and get it done. And then you get to this stage, the book arriving. And I have waited all this time we've been talking about waiting to open this, but delay more. One more thing about copies. You can order, as the writer, you can order what Amazon calls author copies, and they are priced at a lower rate than you've set for the retail price. Yeah, a decade or more ago when I did this for the first time, author copies were a bad idea if you were in the UK, as I am, because they were always printed in the US, and it took weeks for these things to get to you. Now, I hope, surely that's changed by now, but I don't need to know, because I never order author copies at all. What I do instead, whenever this comes up, is I go back into that pricing section and I lower the price to the minimum if it isn't, already at that. Then I buy my copy or copies, whatever it is, like a regular customer would. And after it's bought, after the order's gone through, raise the price back up again. But now, can I finally open this thing? Can I open it quickly? Produce the book faster than opening this parcel. Okay. I'm not going to be able to recycle this cardboard. And oh, be nice. Don't bend the cover. There it is. Look at that. I'm so pleased with that. I'll check through it in a second for details, but look at that. Sorry, I was reading my bit. Okay, this book, I think of it as a quick and dirty book. It was just in the sense that it was the fastest and the shortest way I knew to get a paperback to present to the authors who wrote it in our Young Writers sessions. I presented to them at the last one. As I said at the start, though, there are other ways. You can talk with local printers rather than using Amazon, for example. So yeah, that's a thing. Lulu also makes great looking books on demand. I mean, you've got to design them, but they can make gorgeous things. And even within Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing, like we've just used, you have options. You saw things like different sizes, paper stocks, but there's also ebooks, hardbacks. There's uploading from a PDF instead of from a Word document. Lots of options, advantages and disadvantages to each of them. But this is what I wanted, and this is what I've got. This is real, and we're going to have a launch party for it. I'm so looking forward to it. It's a shame you can't come. Anyway, for now, thank you very much for watching. Thanks also to the writers of this book, as well, otherwise this would have been a really short video, wouldn't it? It'd be footage of me still writing it. Anyway, okay. Thank you as well to Writing West Midlands. This was my idea, and I funded it. I'd never have dumped the production job or the printing costs on them, but they hire me to work with young writers 10 times a year, and it is fantastic. It's daunting, but exhilarating, and so often so very funny. If you are in the UK's Midlands, and you are, or you know a young writer, please check the link to the groups below. You'll be so glad. So, thank you, Writing West Midlands, and to them, and especially to you, take care of yourself, Write more, and I'll see you soon.